Hi everyone, when we left off we just finished making our first pair of helper functions and working on our main function. So we'd made this hide icon function and we made this move icon function, and moving forward we're going to be making a number of new functions to support all the interactions of the game. But in order to do a lot of this work, we're going to need a bunch more scenes. We right now have just written 3 scenes. We have 1, 2, 3. So there's 3 scenes in the game, and it's going to be necessary to have a lot more. And so what I've done is I've created a scenes file so that you can work with all the scenes. So you'll find this Moron -js zip file, and you can download this. And this file is going to have 2 JS files inside of it, the scenes.js and this a4.js, and I'm going to describe what that does in a minute. But you can just add these and replace the ones that are in your in your project right here, and that's what I'm going to do. Is I'm just going to add them right here, and it's going to allow me to replace the scenes.js file. And now when I open scenes.js, you're going to see that there's many more scenes, all right, to work on. It still includes the one that we had worked on, which was where we have our places we are. It has our change instructions function right here, as well as the scene that was used to move icons around, which is now not just the 3rd scene, it's now I think the 5th scene. Right, so this is the scene we'd worked on right before, and you can see here's those the switch statement with the various cases in our move icon that's used a number of times. The function is called 4 times. So what we're going to be doing is, the other thing you'll notice is that in all the scenes now, not only is there a main key with the function added, there's also a start and a finish. For the most part, these are null. All right, and we're going to be using these for some of our scenes. We're going to need to use these. So they're in every scene, all right, though most of them are null. And in your version, they're all null. So you're going to have to be writing functions. But just to know, there's in every scene, every object here that represents a scene, you're going to see these start and finish keys with the null value. All right, so we'll be working with those as well. So what is this going to do for us? Well, what this is going to allow us to do is we're going to allow us to do scene 3. We're going to start with that one, which in the final version of the game, you can see it says smash the bugs from left to right. Okay, so if we look at this scene, this is scene 3, and you can jump right to it. You can always jump to any scene by calling, so if I refresh this and it starts, and we call a level, and we set it equal to a number of a scene, so in this case it's 3, and then we call next scene, it goes to that scene. All right, so in this particular scene, you can see there's actually 5 visible icons, but if we actually inspect this, all right, you'll see that there's a number of icons that you're not seeing. There's all these splotch icons, all right, and these are all have the hidden class. So they're the ones that are sitting behind it. You can see they're they're the first 5 elements. Splotch, hidden, 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 hidden. There's 5 of them, and then we have our bugs, and then there's 5 bugs. So the idea is that as you click on each one, we hide the bug and show the splotch. Hide the bug, show the splotch. Okay, so that's going to need a new helper function for us to be able to unhide icons. So in our moron.js file, we have our hide element function here, and so we're going to make a new function. We're going to call it function unhide, whatever element we tell it to unhide. And very similarly, it's just going to say, let's add the class list. For the element class list, we're going to say dot remove the class hidden. All right. So whenever it's called and we pass a value to it, one of our icons, we're going to be able to unhide it. All right. So if we look at our scene and we look at our icons array, and you can see in that icons array we have, as I described, we have all of our splotches. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So those are the splotches, and those are going to be index values if you think about it, 0 through 4. And then the bugs are 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And so there are 5 bugs, and those are index values 5 through 9. And those represent our answer sequence. We want to click the bugs 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in order. And what we're going to be doing is for each bug that's clicked, we want to hide it, and then for each icon that's clicked, we want to unhide the corresponding splotch. So if we think about it, if icon index value 5 is clicked, we need icon index value 0 to be unhidden. So by default, that splotch is hidden. So that's value 0. And value 5 here is the one we want to unhide. So that we want to hide. So we want to hide the bug, and then we want to unhide the splotch. So we're going to just do a little simple piece of math, because for every 5th one, we want to unhide the same icon minus 5. So when we click icon 5, we want to subtract 5 and unhide icon 0. When we click icon 6, right, that's the answer, whoops, we want to unhide icon 1, all right? So this is pretty straightforward because you do this every time you click. There's no case statements. You always do the same thing, so you don't have to use your switch statement. And so we're just going to say hide, and we call the icons array, right? And we give an index value when we say hide the one that's clicked, and then we get to say unhide, and we call the icons value that is I minus 5. All right. So you're saying when 0 is clicked, icon 0 is clicked, unhide the 5th one, as we described. So if we save this and we go back to our game here, and oops, it's asking, oh, I forgot there's another part to this array. So in this code, we have a second file, a function called a4, and we're going to add this to index.html, and I'm going to explain what it's used for later, but it needs to be here because it's calling it in the scene. So we're going to say script source a4.js, and once it's included, we can use it. It's used to draw about 15 number 4s in an order, so it's easier than generating all of the objects to make a whole bunch of icons that are the exact same thing with only just different positions. So we'll look at that later. Apologize for that being in the middle of this one. But anyway, so now that we're all set up, we can, you can see we could call next scene, right? And that would give us our first scene, but we can go right to level 3 and then call next scene, and we get our bugs. And now you can see as we click, each one is being hidden, all right? And we can still click the wrong one and it's the wrong icon. We're not doing anything. We're not failing the scene yet. We're just noticing like, hey, that's the wrong one. We're not stopping people from clicking yet. We'll have to deal with that later on. But you can see these are working, and when it's complete, it goes to the next one, all right? So at any time, remember, as you're testing, you can just set the level to whatever you want, say level 3, and then call next scene, and it'll bring you to that scene. So if you've copied and pasted and you're using our scenes.js file, all right, that is being used for the rest of these tutorials, that has all the values, that's going to allow you to follow along all the numbers of the scenes that I call up for the remainder of the tutorials. So hopefully you've done that. We also made a couple little changes. So we only added one new function. This was mostly about how to get this scenes.js set of file functioning with all the scenes added. But you'll also note that in our index.html, we added this a4.js, which I'll explain later on how that's used. But since it's called in scenes.js, you have to make sure it's included in the index file. It's calling the function that's in this file. So there's this one function called a4, and it's called within scenes.js. So you have to make sure it's attached, so it sees it and it's available. Okay, so we'll continue on with a lot more interesting. Next, in our next lecture, we're going to look at how to use a timer function for one of our scenes.